Welcome back to the program. Our guest reviewer now joins us virtually to discuss the issues in the news this morning. We're now joined by the founder of the Nigerian Nexus, Patriot Desmond Olariwaju Fowobi. Hello, good morning to you, Patriot, and welcome to the program.
Good morning, Bito. It's good to join you this morning
It's
in studio to.
It's a pleasure. We'll begin this morning with more growing calls for citizens to be involved in the process of demanding of accountability and transparency as it concerns policies or initiatives of government. Now, yesterday, the Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Mr. Festus Keyamo SAN, speaking to the media, revealed that the government is beginning to entertain proposals for the possibility of a new national carrier. Now, some Nigerians are skeptical who are yet to heal from some of the scars of the Nigerian Air project. I'd like your first time reaction to this. How do you feel about the government looking to consider proposals for a viable national carrier, particularly when the last one was shrouded with a lot of controversies and allegations of corruption?
Well, I sincerely appreciate the dimension the Minister of Aviation took when responding to journalists and various interests in presence during the conversation. The fears were, as widely the way he posited it. The last time we have Adisirika as the Minister of Aviation during the tenure or the era of the late President Muhammadu Buhari of blessed memory. We also had a national carrier that was inaugurated, celebrated, and launched to the Nigerian people that met a lot of huge excitement that later did it turn into a mockery because of the arrangement and the what was, what culminated the last national carrier. The allegations of going to rent from Rwanda Air, painting it into national carrier, and launching it with about 63 billion dollars naira or something. I can't really pick the figure that was invested in that project, but nothing to show for it. So Nigerians are skeptical, and I know even the Minister of Aviation, Festus Keyamo, Aerospace, also knew about the development. So this kind of news, I expected it will generate more controversies, going by the background of what has happened in that sector in the last few years. When the Minister of Aviation said that it is not going to be funded by the federal government, I was excited that it is going to be a private sector driven. So receiving proposal is a good thing because Nigeria as a giant of Africa, we can't be a giant just with our mouth. We can only be a giant by providing real sectoral solutions. And one of the sector that is lagging is the aerospace. How can we call ourselves the giant of Africa and we do not have just one national carrier to our credit? So receiving the proposal is timely, and it is only my wish and prayer that this time around it will be a source and it will yield a positive result, not what we have seen as usual.
Now, one of the upsides to this is listening to legal luminaries Sagi and Mike Ozakome backing this initiative while demanding for transparency is on the notion that it won't come from the government's pockets. But most times we have private players in such industries. Some Nigerians are also quick to cry foul and say that that person is monopolizing it. Do you have any of such concerns, knowing that it will be solely from private pockets, probably through a PPP?
That's in this regard, that shouldn't be much of an issue that it's going to be monopolized. I don't think that's a sector already. If you look at Nigeria as a country, if you look at our aerospace, you will realize that there are quite a lot of private individual, a lot of individual that is running different companies in our in our air sector, in our aviation sector. You talk about Air Peace, you talk about Dano Air. There are a lot, Akwa Ibom as a state, quite a lot of uh, individuals and institutions within the Nigerian space are already running this sector. We have a lot of private sector running this sector. This our air sector, aviation sector. So the fear that Nigerian air is going to be monopolized shouldn't be an issue or much of an issue, because it will make no impact or much significance as far as the sector is concerned. So the most important thing that we should focus our energy is the revitalization of Nigerian air to the use of Nigerians for our national pride. And that is what we are talking about. So it should not only be a local. What we should be looking at now is the model of operandi. It should not be a domestic flight. At this point, we are not looking at domestic flight. We are looking at international flight that takes Nigerian across the world. Nigerian air that can take us around the world, not just Kano to Lagos or Abuja to Lagos or Kano to Enugu. No, we are talking about a flight that can take us to Amsterdam, take us to London, take us to US, take us to China, and that is what we are talking about. So the fear of it being monopolized is not really a big deal.
Now let's talk about another fear. This time, the fear was re-echoed by Professor Itse Sage, who you remember was the former chairman of the Presidential Advisory Committee Against Corruption. He talked about indiscipline killing Nigerian Airways. And if I'm to borrow from one of the quotes he used, he says certain high persons in government abused it, flying around with their girlfriends, family and friends, and also delaying such international flights from taking off on time, saying that if we're supposed to have a new national carrier, discipline should be our watchword. Care to add any yeah, please.
Certainly, Bito, that was in the past. And if you look at the situation surrounding our previous Nigerian air, that can accommodate such. But presently, we are receiving proposal from private sector to come and drive Nigerian air. So it can never be a business as usual. Certain circumstances that culminated the previous effort cannot show their face because of the approach the federal government is taking this time around. It is a private business. It is just franchise. It is a franchise. They are just borrowing our name. It is not known by Nigeria. The proposal that is being received now is that this is going to be a PPP, public-private partnership, which means it is private sector that will drive it. And you know, when private sector is driving any business in this country, first they have to look at their interest, which is profit. So you cannot maximize profit as a private sector when you allow some element or factor that can affect the integrity of the business, that would amount to losing customers and losing integrity. So that cannot surface again. That was in the past. So the only thing that the minister or the people saddled with the responsibility of receiving this proposal is that they should ensure that it is completely private sector driven, and it should not fall under influence of giving it to people who do not deserve it. It should be given or handed over to those who really merit and deserve and have antecedent or history of managing effective hair. So that should be our concern. Our concern is not how it will be used. The concern is that they should ensure that this project is handed over to people with integrity, companies that have the antecedent of excellence and trustworthy in managing this Nigerian air.
Now, in moving on, nearly 4 months after President Bola Ahmed Tinubu unveiled 50 billion naira worth of tractors to boost food productions, we're told that nearly 9,000 machines remain idle at the National Agricultural Seed Council. Many say that this stalled rollout is as a result of bureaucratic inefficiencies in Nigeria's mechanization drive. The Guardian newspaper had a photograph of the tractors still lying idle at the National Agricultural Seed Council, and it begs the question, 4 months after, most of these things have metal components that can rust. They're left in the rain. The sun is not good for them. Meanwhile, we have a lot of farmers waiting to have this value addition into the agricultural sector. What sort of bureaucracy is this, and can we see the process being expedited?
Is this about bureaucracy or old, age-long tactics of corruption? It's just a strategy. You know, if you are very familiar with the operations of the ministries, you will realize that these bureaucracies, they are not really something feasible. It is human factor that deliberately creates certain problems in order to siphon or to loot from the system. Now, this is one of the major effects of this delay that you are going to see. Clear picture you are going to see. You know, by the time this delay that is manually orchestrated elapses, the ministry would demand for certain amount of money to check those equipment in order to see that they are effective, they are okay. So, do you know the amount of money that will be rolled out to the ministry to manage the tractors to ensure that they are in good shape? That is one. Then number two, you know, every desire loses its potential when you don't get it at the right time. There are people who are supposed to get these tractors. With these delays, some of them will be denied. And that means that it will fall into wrong hand at the end of the day. These are some of the tactics from the ministry. What do you mean by bureaucracy? Bureaucracy means that this director, that director must see, it must pass due process. So what stops the ministry to organize a committee where everybody that is supposed to be signatory, that is supposed to know, be in a particular hall, and the signature and everything take place in one day? But you will hear that this director that is supposed to check the engine is not available. The department that is supposed to verify the people that will receive it is not yet available. All these kind of bureaucracies is what the ministries are used to when they want to siphon or divert government asset or government resources. And then for me, I do not blame the ministry. I blame the president. I blame the people who have responsibility. Head of civil service, I blame the people who have the responsibility over these employees of government.
You
have to charge them. You have to charge them on what you want.
Now, Petra, let's also factor in the fact that the wet seasons are also very crucial in the time these tractors are supposed to have been rolled out. Because what's the essence of rolling them out when we're now in the dry season? Do you think that timing should have been factored into the distribution plan?
Certainly, that is the point. That is what I'm trying to say. That there must be a time frame for every project of the government. That your urgency shouldn't be about rolling out money. See, let me understand this. Money has been expended. You notice that in this part of the world, executive arms of the government are only interested in expediting action in ensuring that they roll out funds for certain projects. Once the funds has left the CBN or left the covers of government and used for the purpose in which they requested the money, you see that they no longer pay attention to the delivery of those projects. The urgency federal government, especially the executive arm of government, always applies when they want to collect money from the purse. They should always apply such urgency and energy to implementation of projects. You see that last, it still falls into that the habit of interest, personal interest, that is selfish interest. Now that the project money has left the purse of government, the executives are no longer interested because they already got their own interest. They already satisfy their own interest. Because as at the moment this money is being transferred from the purse of government, the executives already make their own profits from that deal, from that business. It is now left for those who are going to implement, which majority is going to be civil servant. And the only way the civil servant can make good money from this project is to delay. Man-made delay. They delay so they can get more prospects. People that will apply, people that will bribe. So the legitimate, the people who have the right, the legitimate owners of those tractors will not get them. New people will be introduced because of the delay, and some of them will bribe their way. So this delay is to ensure that there is more opportunity for those who will pay,
now,
who will settle one director or that director. That is the system in the ministry. And this old system of looting and corruption, I think we are mature enough because that system has casted. I don't know why they are still applying it in this 21st century.
Now that we know that, MD Petrod, now that we know that there seems to be this notion of the way this bureaucracy, like you've explained it, has lingered on in the system. Are there some stop-gap mechanisms that can be deployed to ensure that once this delay is noticed, it can be flagged and dealt with?
It's all about the body language of the executives. It's all about the interest. You know, the president has a lot of essays, he has a lot of ministers, because the president cannot be everywhere. The president cannot be everywhere, and that is why he has some essays. And then it is only where the president, the president always acts where they are parts. Not just the president, the executives. The executives always act where they are parts. Meaning that it is only what is important to the president at a particular time that they put their energy on. Do you know that there are some of these things that is hanging in the hands of these bureaucracies that the president would have thought that Nigerians are benefiting from already? Do you know that some of these things can never get back to the president? Because some of the players, some of the employees of the president are not interested anymore in this. It is a forgotten project. It is an abandoned project. They are interested in where the money is going. They are working with the budgets. Their attention is on the money. The executives cannot make money from abandoned projects. The presidency or the executives arm of government don't make money from projects that already executed from the executive level. So that is why you see a lot of lackadaisical attitude from those who are man to handle certain responsibilities. And this culture can only change if only the heads, the ears of the president is on those projects. So in this case now, how can the president hear about this? It is when the civil society raise alarm, just like what you are doing now. It's just like when the people, the beneficiaries, I know there is a limit to the actions that can be taken by the beneficiaries. So some of them can be given bad names, and some of them, their name can be replaced. And that's why everybody is treading with caution. It is me and and you, the civil society that can speak on behalf of the farmers that are supposed to benefit from this. And that is the man being unkind to mankind that we have been talking about over the years. Federal government have done their own. I'm talking about the executives. The president have already rolled out money for these tractors. These tractors have landed in the country. What is the reason for the delay? You and I know that the reason for the delay is because those who are saddled with the responsibility of collecting names and distribution of this are deliberately creating this delay so they can make money for maintenance, make money from those who are going to get them, and make money from the diversion of these assets. That is just the truth.
Now, these are very concerning developments, and we'll continue to ensure that the alarm, much like you've called for it, is being raised by the media as the watchdog of society, backed by civil society groups much like yourself. But now, coming to another improvement in government revenue sharing, is the report for revenue shared in the month of September 2025. According to the Federation Account Allocation Committee, with a meeting chaired by the Accountant General of the Federation, Samsudeen Ogunjimi, a gross total of 3.054 trillion was shared for September. This means that the state, the federal government, and the LGAs, in some way, are receiving more revenue. Big question is on transparency again and how this can reflect in improved quality of life of Nigerian citizens. Care to make any remarks on this?
Yes, I certainly have remarks to make, especially in regards to the revenue that is being distributed among the federal government, the state government, and the local government. The big question is the local government. And the local government transparency and accountability will aid the performance of states. What I'm saying is this. 2 years ago, when the popular declaration or judgment by the Supreme Court that gave the financial autonomy to the local governments was announced, a lot of Nigerians were jubilating. But after some few months, the energy and the enthusiasm of the people dwindled, not because Nigerians do not care about the local government's autonomy anymore, but because the practicability of the autonomy, the power has not been given to the people. The only way you can give the power to the people is the independency of the process of electing the local government chairman. Nigeria as a country of over 774 local governments. The total amount of money that is allocated to local government, we are not seeing the impact because of the total control of state governors over the local government resources. Today, the state governors still much control the local government allocations. The people are not really involved in the governance and the management of their money. So this figure that the federal government is rolling out is just on paper. You don't see projects. You don't see 2.1 trillion projects in the states. In the local government, you don't see it. The only way you see these billions of money of naira is when the governors of the state live like an emperor. Throw parties. You saw the 90th birthday celebration of the mother of the governor of Ogun State. You saw the caliber of people there. You saw the wealth, the dollars that is exchanging hands. That is where you see the allocation. You don't see the allocation in the lives of the common Nigerians. And that is because the federal government, I want to throw this to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu needs to do the needful. He needs to take the power of electing local government chairmen from the state governor and hand it over to the people. That is when the local government autonomy will make sense to Nigerian people like me like you and others. So for now, it doesn't make any sense. It's just a political statement. So I'm calling on President Bola Ahmed Tinubu through his Attorney General of Federation, the Minister of Justice, Fagbemi, to do the needful. It's not just to make political statements and hide and give Nigerians opium. The pronouncement by Supreme Court is just an opium to Nigeria, which does not really solve the problem. And that is why we see that this money cannot be accounted for, because there are no Nigerians that are ready to waste their energy on chasing rats that they know they cannot catch.
Now, quite the analogy there. Let's also narrow it down into another angle of the FAAC report. You know, we've been calling for increased accountability with our oil revenue. Now, according to the other angle of the FAAC report, it says that the NUPRC remitted 6.2 trillion naira revenue in 9 months despite oil output fluctuations. Coming at a time when there have been a couple of strikes here and there, fallouts between Dangote and NUPRC and what have you. But when we look at this even closer, is the fact that the MPC has submitted a report on alleged $42.3 billion discrepancies when it comes to the revenue sharing, particularly from the need for transparency, particularly from oil revenue as well. Would you say this is commendable, noting that there's been appreciable revenue despite oil output fluctuations?
Certainly, it is commendable because of I've always known that our oil sector supplies has always met with a lot of corruption in the past. I'm still very much certain that if there is still much torchlight to torchlight that sector, we can still improve drastically from the revenue in the coming months and years, because a lot of theft is ongoing, a lot of diversion, a lot of shady deals and all of that. Like if you go to Warri refineries, you go to Port Harcourt refineries, you find out that these refineries are operational, and that is why they flare gas. So, and there have not been proper accountability on the activities of these refineries. The only time we talk about our oil is what we export and what Dangote is distributing in the country and exporting. The torchlight should go beyond what is being exported and also torchlight our refineries, our Nigerian refineries, and also our pipelines, to see that what is not about what is being declared, it's about in real fact, do we have real life technology? Do we have, apart from what human being records and is now being distributed on our national dailies, do we have real-time technology that monitors what is being explored, exported, and refined and distributed? Therefore, if only we can have more technology being deployed in this sector, this revenue will triple. That is my belief. They have tried, but they can do better if technology can be used in monitoring this sector.
Well, it's quite interesting that there's a growing attention of the Nigerian populace to these issues as it concerns public finance management. And this brings me to the institutions of government saddled with the responsibility of making the laws that govern the country Nigeria. The National Assembly has been embroiled in a lot of speculative reporting, particularly when it comes to allegations of missing funds. Again this morning, a humongous sum to the tune of 18.6 billion naira has been allegedly published by several newspaper outlets, asking the question of the name of the contractor involved in this alleged missing funds. Serap has taken it a step further by writing to the National Assembly, particularly to its leadership of both the Senate and the House of Representatives, demanding that the name of contractor and the funds be made public under the Freedom of Information Act to Nigerians, so as we can follow the story. I don't know if you followed the story and you care to make inputs as well. Carry on,
yes,
sir.
that is the way to go. The National Assembly have its chairman. The chairman of National Assembly is distinguished Senator Obot Akpabio, who is the chairman. And we also have Tajuddin, who is the Speaker of House of Representatives, the Senate President, and the Speaker, with some other people, started with the responsibility of managing this fund and approve contractors and all that. Now, 18.6 billion Nigerian naira is not a child's play. It's a money that can transform lives. It's a huge amount of money. Even with the level of performance of naira against dollar, it is a whole lot of money that can transform generations, community. So such amount of money cannot be allowed to move into thin air in the name of a missing fund. You cannot, that kind of money cannot miss. But the management of this money can play a game with it and hide it. It can be stolen. It can be diverted. It can be misappropriated. But it cannot be missing. The money is not missing. It is just for the Nigerian people to ask the right people where has the money diverted or kept. And then they have the responsibility of telling us where the money is. Such money cannot just move. It must be duly transmitted through the signature of the chairman of the National Assembly. That is the Senate President and the Speaker of House of Reps. So it is just a remove, don't even, when you try to say they should give us names of contractor, the money, if it was given to contractor, that means you must tell us what project are you doing, are you using the money for. Such money cannot miss. It's either it is misappropriated or diverted or laundered. So it is to ask the right signatory to the accounts or the management of the fund the right question: where is the money? So we should not just assume or allege that the money is missing. It's about asking coordinated question about where has this money gone? Is it diverted into private pockets or used for the payment of certain projects or kept in the National Assembly purse? So it is to ask the right question. Leave contractor out of this. Where is our 18.6 billion Nigerian naira National Assembly fund? Where is it? It's not about whether it's missing. I cannot accept that English that the money is missing. The money cannot miss. Because if you trace
Petro Desmond, talking
yes,
about tracing this account, let's put some facts right so that our viewers at home also get the direct perspective into this story. Particularly, the money was meant for the construction of the National Assembly's Commission Office Complex as documented in the latest 2022 annual report by the Auditor General of the Federation, 2022. This is 3 years down the line. And it's based on the failure to follow the Procurement Act, involving the failure to carry out the needs assessment before the award of contract, to advertise the bidding, to also issue a contract agreement and issue binder's quotation before the construction company was paid the sum, 18.6 billion naira. So it's a laid down procedural guideline. First off, they need to follow the Procurement Act. They had to have been needs assessments that the National Assembly actually needs that Commission Office Complex, and more importantly, advertising for bidding before the payment of the contract sum was made to the contractor. So just to speak to the part where you're talking about the name of the contractor, that we should leave that part out. I think if we're following this, it is pertinent to also ask which contractor was paid the sum. Don't you think so?
The reason why I said that we should not mention the name of contractor in this is the fact that you said the money is missing. It cannot be missing if you have already awarded a contract in the name of the money to a particular contractor. So I think it is the use of the word missing that I'm speaking to. The National Assembly leadership certainly have all the information about the money. Hence, they refuse to give the information to the public. As of 2022, the leadership of the National Assembly is headed by Lawan. Albert Akpabio became the chairman in 2023 after his victory, after winning the majority vote from his senators. So if we can also know when this money was disbursed, then certainly you can be able to track where the money is. It's not missing. It's either the project is abandoned or the money is yet to be transferred to the contractor. So that's why I need to ask the National Assembly the question.
All right. Those questions civic groups are asking. Serap is leading the calls, and the National Assembly, under the Freedom of Information Act, I believe, would grant the answers needed to these questions. We must thank you for your time, however, lending your thoughts to the discourse on the program this morning. We're wishing you the best of the week ahead. Have a nice day, sir.
Thank you so much, and you too.